Hi folks, my name is Allie DeAndrea. Today I'm going to show you how to butcher a turkey. This is an Osceola turkey that I harvested this morning, and I'm going to show you how to remove the beard, how to remove the fan, and how to remove the delicious, wonderful meat from your wild turkey. So let's get started. This video is brought to you by Avid Armor. Avid Armor makes high-quality vacuum sealers that are perfect for keeping your wild game meat fresher for longer. I use mine for wild mushrooms, fresh produce, and so much more. If you're interested in learning more, there's a link in the description box down below. To get started, you will need a boning knife. This one that I have here is by Cold Steel, but any boning knife between 6 to 8 inches will do. First thing we're going to do is remove the beard. All I'm going to do is, with my left hand, press against the bird right next to the base of the beard itself. With my right hand, I'm going to grab all the way down at the bottom, right at the base. So it's like I'm pushing down on the bird's body and then pulling up in a very swift motion. 1, 2, 3. There we go. So the beard will pop off, just like that. And you can use that as part of your mount if you choose. Next, we're going to remove the fan of the turkey. Now, in order to get a really beautiful turkey fan mount, you want to make sure that you leave enough of these feathers in the front. These feathers have a lot of iridescence to them, and they're what make a fan mount, in my opinion. Really beautiful. So, you're going to put, oh my God. So you're going to push all of the tail feathers together, grab them in one hand, and push them forward towards the head. You'll see a lot of small feathers behind your large tail feathers. Those don't matter. So if they're on after you make the cut, that's no big deal at all. Now with your knife, you're going to cut just above the anus at a straight line, as if you're going from the top of the anus straight through towards the head. You may need to work your knife in there a little bit in order to break through the tailbone, but just a little working with your knife will do. And then you want to kind of pull these feathers up so that you can see how much will be left on the front. Because again, that's what's going to make this mount beautiful. So I probably want to about, a little extra won't hurt. I want to about there. So now I can hold all of this together and cut all the way through until I'm able to pull this off. Now his fan's a little ratty. This boy's been through a lot down here in the Florida swamp, but we have what will become a beautiful fan with lots of beautiful feathers. So we can set that aside. If you want to learn how to mount your turkey fan, I've got a separate video on that. That'll be linked down below. At this point, you want to make sure to clean off your knife before we move on to removing the meat from this bird. When your bird is laying on its back, there's the top of a mound. There's a protrusion that comes up, kind of like a triangle. Right here at the top, you can feel it with your fingers. It's hard. There's a bone there. Basically, the breast meat runs on both sides of the body, kind of underneath the wings at an angle off of this protrusion. Everything right above this protrusion is not anything that we're going to want. After you locate this mound, you can do this with a knife or with your fingers. If you push away some of the feathers, you can actually see the skin, and I can tell that this bird is really young. Like this was probably just a 2-year-old bird because the skin is still so soft. Like the skin on his legs is soft, the skin up here is soft. If you have a really old bird, this mound might be kind of bare and it could have some like, I don't know, scabbiness on it. Not to be gross, but that's how it goes. So I'll push some of those feathers away, and we're going to make a cut, just a very light cut with our knife, just enough to cut the skin, okay? From here, we can grab it with our hands, and we'll be able to pull this apart the rest of the way. And what we're trying to do here is expose all of the breast meat. So not only am I tearing down, so from that lump all the way down towards the feet, I'm also coming down the sides, like towards where the armpit of the bird would be. Now that the breast meat is exposed, I'm going to run my knife down both sides of this center sternum bone. As you're making that cut, you want to keep the sharp part of your blade facing towards the bone. That way, the blade will do the best job possible of removing the meat from the bone. So you'll essentially be scraping that bone the whole way down as you're making that cut. The only funky part is when you get up to where the crop is. Now, there's a clear difference between what is meat and what is fat, crop, funkiness that we don't want. You want to run that line very carefully, very gently, and make sure that you're removing the crop but keeping the meat. You'll get to the point up in the shoulder once everything is removed from the crop, everything's removed from the bone. It kind of gets hung up in the shoulder because the muscles wrap up into that joint. So you'll make a more blunt cut in order to get that top portion of the breast meat completely off. Here we have the turkey breast meat. Now on the underside of this meat, so this is what was on the innermost side, there is a muscle here called the tenderloin. Now you can choose to package the tenderloin separate from the breast meat, which I personally like to do. I like to cook my tenders separate. One of my favorite dishes is like a pecan crusted turkey tender with a honey mustard dipping sauce. It's delicious. I like to make those from the turkey tender specifically because they are the most tender cut of meat from the whole bird. So it's up to you how you want to package that, but you have just removed the breast meat and the tenderloin. Now it's time to remove the legs. So you want to position yourself at the bottom of the bird, and you're going to grab both legs and push them away from you, opening up the hips. You may even hear the hip joint popping. You'll definitely feel it as you push those legs apart. Then you're going to try and remove as much of the skin and feathers as you can. You can use your knife to do this. You can also use your hands to pull that skin off of the legs. Then we have to cut the meat at the hip joint. You can tell you're at the hip joint when you see what looks like a ball. It's part of the bone. Once you locate that, you'll take your knife and make a cut essentially straight through. Then we'll have to remove the bottom portion of the leg. You can use a handsaw or a sawzall. Sometimes you can even get through and break through that joint with your knife. That's the bottom of the leg. I guess it's important to note too, some people do like to keep the spurs as part of your taxidermy. So if that's something that you like, you want to hang on to the spurs. Now it's time to finish cleaning up the meat. Before you package up this meat, you want to make sure to remove all the little feathers that remain on it, but avoid rinsing this if you can. Rinsing is going to add a whole bunch of moisture, and even if you try and dry it as good as you can before you put it in the freezer, it's just not ideal. So what I would recommend is grabbing a paper towel, a dry paper towel, and just go through and pick off all of those little hairs. They should come off really easy. You also want to make sure to remove any fat that's left on the meat, particularly up here at the top. So this breast meat, this is where the crop was connected. And I already removed most of it, but you can see what's remaining here. So this is the side that I'd already cut away, and this is what is left from that crop. Grab your knife and just make sure to cut that away. To finish this up, I'm going to vacuum seal these bags of turkey. So I have a chamber vacuum sealer. This one is by Avid Armor. But whether you have a chamber vacuum sealer or a suction vacuum sealer, I really believe that vacuum sealing your meat is the best way to prolong the life of it in the freezer. Truthfully, one of these packages is going straight into the refrigerator because I'm cooking this meat tomorrow night. But in general, vacuum sealing your meat is what is going to make it last the longest. So after you've cleaned all the feathers off of the meat, the last thing you need to do before sealing it is make sure to wipe off the inside rim with a paper towel. That will allow the sealer to create a good, tight seal. If not, some of that gunk can get in the way. So to use this chamber vacuum sealer, all you do, pop the top, slap your bag in there. You want to make sure that there's enough headspace in the bag itself. If I filled this up with too much meat, there wouldn't be enough space there for the sealer to create a good seal. I'm going to drape it over the seal bar and make sure that there are no wrinkles, because if there's any wrinkles in the bag, when it goes to seal, those areas can cause little leaks that can end up making the meat be exposed to air, which is a no-no. We want all the air gone. My bag is nice and flat. Close this down, and all I do is press auto vac and seal. Ooh, that's my favorite part. So it has suctioned all of the air out of the bag. We have a beautifully, perfectly sealed bag. No air bubbles, everything looks great. Now all that's left to do is label this with a Sharpie. So I'll label that this is Osceola turkey harvested in March of 2024. Thank you guys so much for watching. That's it for this video. Please feel free to leave any questions that you might have in the comment section down below. I hope this video helped you out, and I wish you so much luck this turkey season. I'll see you guys in the next one.